Todd, obviously this is still a hot topic because the Mets let one get away last night. So what's your take on the manager asking maybe for a little bit more from the pitchers when you're playing such critical games?
Yeah, it's a loaded question because of the fact that right now this is not August. You're not just talking about the guys getting through, a little bit longer outing or going back-to-back days. You're talking about the opportunity to stay in a pennant race, to stay in contention for postseason. So I think that what Luis is talking about is a challenging thing to have to maneuver now as a manager. You saw Marcus Stroman walking off the mound in that sixth inning, yanking his jersey out. That usually means he's done. I was surprised that he was done at that point in the game. I thought that Luis had an opportunity to go back out to him. But what Luis is saying is he's having to deal with a lot of personalities, a lot of guys that may not want to go back out there. And I think that's the challenging piece to it. And I also believe that right now, this time of the year, and maybe it did start a couple of weeks ago, you've got to be able to meet with all these guys and find out who wants the ball, who wants to go that extra day, who can go back-to-back days. And that communication has to be constant because you cannot let a game slip away the way I think last night's game slipped away just because you're careful about a guy when it's September and you're worried about long-term impact. You've got to make sure that these guys are aware that right now it's critical, all hands on deck. Find out who the guys are that you can count on and run those guys out there because they're the guys that want the ball.
The focus is always on the starter. How many innings did he pitch? How many pitches did he throw? But it's also the bullpen, as you pointed out. And, the questions pile up as you go deeper and deeper into these games. How come Diaz wasn't available for 2 innings? How come Lugo wasn't available? Back to your first point there. How can Luis Rojas address this with the whole staff, not just the starters, to see, all right, who can give me a little bit more? Who has more left in the tank?
Well, I'm sure Luis has good communication. It always has seemed every time we've seen or heard from Luis, it sounds like he communicates well with his guys. But I think the mindset of today's player is a little bit different. I think guys are used to saying, okay, if I go this many up downs or this many pitches, then my job is done. And there's very few guys out there that you think want to take the ball, want to be, out there for that next inning and want to go through maybe the stop sign once in a while when the game's on the line. And I think it's a balancing act for Luis to figure that out because at the same time, you don't want to send guys out there that say they can go and then are not going to be performing at the highest level. But I think with this team, especially with a guy like Loop, with Diaz, you've got to be able to be the guy that bridges that gap, get that extra inning out of a starter, one less inning out of the relievers, bridge the gap to Diaz because you have an opportunity to win games when you're leading in the sixth inning, and to let those slip away, those are losses that you're not going to be able to get back in the last 2.5 weeks of this season.